Yeah. 8TP, what it do with your boy Rain? Back at you guys with another one. Shout out to all my subscribers. If this is your first time tapping into the content, I'm going to invite you to go ahead and hit subscribe at the bottom of the screen right there. Hit the subscribe button. Hit your bell icon so you are getting alerts when this content is dropping. Well, happy New Year's 2025. We are here in the building and we're going to keep this content flowing, right? You know, real interesting. David Benavidez, David Morrell. You guys, listen. Everybody excited about this fight. I'm excited about it, right? Very rarely do you get to see two fighters of this caliber fight each other in the prime part of their career, right? This is what every boxing fan wants to see. And of course, a fight of this magnitude, the fighters are going to want to make sure that it's an even playing field because they both understand what's on the line here. Right. I mean, David Benavidez is in a situation right now to where he really, in some people's eyes, is taking a fight that he really doesn't need to be taking right now, being that he's already a mandatory and lined up, according to Turkey Al-Sheikh and the inside sources inside the boxing space are all confirming that he is next in line to fight the winner of Benavidez and Bivol 2 that's coming up in February. So really, he could just wait it out, really, right? And just take his time and be lined up to get his first shot at not only a championship in the longest time. I mean, he was a WBC champion at 168, but more importantly, an undisputed championship, right? From the winner of Benavidez and Bivol. This is a huge opportunity for David Benavidez, who's been starving for an opportunity to fight the likes of a Canelo Alvarez, who also was undisputed at 168, but now at 175, earning himself a position by beating Vada, an opportunity to fight for that undisputed title, and was going to fight a fight against Jesse Hart. Went out of his way to have his team reach out to David Morrell's team and coordinate and put together this fight, letting the PBC know, listen, this is the fight I want to happen. I want to show the world who I really am. I want to show them that I'm ducking no smoke. You guys didn't think I was going to do anything with David Morrell at 168, and here we are at 175, where David Morrell's earned himself a regular WBA title, and David Benavidez sitting on an interim WBC title. He puts his best foot forward and says he wants to make this fight happen, and we have to celebrate that. We should celebrate that. But here we go as the fight's coming together. You guys have seen the heated confrontations between these two guys. David Benavidez putting out there Vada testing and random testing happening often in this in the build of this fight is very important to him. He's saying it's really important, right? Put out there that he almost had to throw the fight away and turn the fight away because David Morrell's team was so resistant on getting involved with his testing. Now, look, it's going forward, nobody's popped on any test. From what I understand, David Morrell is being tested, maybe not as regularly as David Benavidez's team wants him to be tested. But look, even the actual strength and conditioning coach of David Benavidez is actually picking up arms for his fighter, saying there's not enough testing. Matter of fact, let's take a look at what Mimo says. Angel Mimo Hernandez, right? Heredia, I hope I'm saying that correct. Hernandez, Guru Science, as you see, it says here, it says it's incredibly irresponsible and unethical for Vada testing to have 15 days without testing after testing has started. Vada testing, what king of testing protocol are you providing? It's a shame, irresponsible, and incompetent. So here you go, and you see, Mimo expressing some real indifference with the way Vada's been approaching this testing. Now, people speak about, listen, there's been rumors about David Morrell and the way testing has happened for him and how resistant he's been on having these tests be random. And what they're basically saying is like, this guy is basically timing out the testing, using performance enhancement drugs. And then by the time the testing actually happens, whether it's, 8 weeks into the fight camp, 6 or 8 weeks into the fight camp, that he's getting it out of his system. But look, still getting the benefits, right? Still getting the benefits of working out, of getting the healing and the conditioning. that's happening, that's allowing him to work over and over and over again. The recovery, that's where I'm looking for. The recovery that's needed, which is just making him stronger and stronger. Now, we all know David Morrell is a hard puncher at 168. Some people say the hardest puncher at 168, and that's probably going to be the biggest threat that David Benavidez has at 168 was David Morrell, but not up to 175. Has that power translated the same way? Who knows? But both these guys are ultimately just 168-pound fighters that moved up to 175. That power more than likely is going to still be there, and clearly David Benavidez's team is wanting to make sure that this is an even playing field fight, being that David Morrell punches hard, and I think it's an acknowledgement of how hard he punches, right? They understand that he punches so hard that they're making this the most important thing of the whole entire camp, is monitoring and keeping a close eye on David Morrell's testing. Now, Victor Conte, who's jumped into this conversation, who from my understanding doesn't have any involvement either way, right, with what's going on in this particular fight, but spoke up a little bit for Vada. You guys know the relationship that he has with Vada. Here is Victor Conte tweeting up at the same time in pretty much response to what Mimo Hernandez is saying, and says it seems that Mimo at Guru Science needs to be called out in regards to his comments about Benavidez and what is this, Osvar not being the drug test, or I guess I'm assuming that's Morello, not being drug tested frequently enough. It seems to have been misinformation spewed by Mimo. Victor Conte says, I was informed by Morrell Jr. side that he's been tested 4 times thus far, and was informed by TGB Promotions that the highest end and the most expensive testing was contracted for this fight. Now, I appreciate promoter Tom Brown providing this much needed clarification. Either Mimo does not know the facts, or maybe he is posting misinformation on purpose for some unknown reason. Both Morrell Jr. side and Tom Brown deserve props for providing the facts and exposing Mimo's inaccurate statements. Interesting. So here Victor Conte is basically saying that Tom Brown has gone ahead and spent top dollar on having the best testing provided, that both sides have been getting tested. But regardless, what it's exposing, and the big question may be, why? And Victor Conte poses the question there and says he doesn't understand why they're going ahead and spreading this misinformation. Boxing space across the board saying that David Benavidez's team is seemingly trying to make excuses for why this fight maybe either shouldn't happen, or if it goes the wrong way, throw some shade and some bad light on David Morrell's team and start to bring up conspiracies of performance enhancement drugs being involved in the fight. Now, guys, listen, the fight is signed. It's ready to go. You're either going to have faith in the system or you're not going to have faith in the system. But the amount of focus that Team Benavidez is having right now towards David Morrell over this testing could raise some eyebrows and concerns. Because if what Victor Conte is saying that David Morrell is being tested, then that clearly means they want him tested even more. This means that they're almost for certain believing that this weapons of mass destructions being buried over there in David Morrell's backyard, right? They believe that this guy's definitely using performance enhancement drugs. When you've got fighters like Sani Agbeko, I hope I've said that correctly, stating that testing was funny when he fought against David Morrell, and he accredits the loss potentially to some performance enhancement drug usage. But look, at the end of the day, he hasn't popped positive, and we can't go ahead and keep on continuing to put this jacket on this guy, and he's never even popped positive. Now, if you guys don't know, Mimo has been known for dealing with some shady issues with performance enhancement drugs in the past, years ago, just like Victor Conte, right? But at the end of the day, he's still working with David Benavidez's team. You see David Benavidez have a high output of punches. He's a big volume puncher. His conditioning is second to none. One could raise questions and concerns as to what David Benavidez and his team are putting together as far as conditioning and performance enhancement drugs affecting that is concerned. But at the end of the day, he hasn't come positive on a test. He's been tested regularly in other fights. You have to give him the benefit of doubt. And ultimately, more than the benefit of doubt, you have to honor and acknowledge the test that he's taken that's been coming up clean. You think the same thing would apply to David Morrell. So at this point, if they're going to continue to keep speaking on this, it is going to start raising concerns. And one would have to ask, how concerned are you guys with dealing with the power of David Morrell? Let's address the elephant in the room. David Morrell punches hard. David Benavidez walks forward and plans on putting pressure on David Morrell and ultimately breaking him. Now, if you follow the sport, you know that this is David Morrell's dream come true. To have a David Benavidez walking him down, being a target that is there to be hit. When you're punching, you're there to be punched. Is he going to be able to walk through and weather that storm that David Morrell is going to be throwing back? And how confident is he in his ability to do that? I mean, are we going to see David Benavidez fight a complete different fight this fight? Will he be boxing and move around and cutting angles and keeping his head off the line? They call him RoboCop because he's just a straightforward fighter. Questions about his footwork, questions about his defense at times, but he's always been able to weather through those storms because the fighters at 168 were just smaller than him, right? He didn't really fight a fighter who really generated the power that David Morrell could generate. And ultimately, a lot of people felt like that was the reason why David Morrell never fought in the first place at 168. I don't particularly subscribe to that. I do believe there were some opportunities in there that he was trying to reach out to Canelo Alvarez and make a bigger fight happen. But at the same exact time, David Morrell does go ahead and pose the same threat that what people are saying. He does pose that threat consistently. He's a puncher. David Benavidez wants to come forward. That puts him in a position to get punched back on by David Morrell. Is he going to be able to weather that storm? I mean, time will tell. February 1st is not as far as ways people like to think it is. So we'll get those answers shortly. But you guys let me know what you think in the comment section, because if what Victor Conte is saying here is true, that he is being tested regularly, that Tom Brown has in fact confirmed this. Tom Brown is the head promoter of TGB, represents the interests of both David Benavidez and David Morrell in this situation. You would ask yourself, then why? Why insist on pushing this narrative that Vada is mishandling the situation, that they're not collecting enough tests, and that they're giving an opportunity for David Morrell to go ahead and finesse the system, use these performance enhancement drugs, and ultimately call him a cheater, put a jacket on him as a cheater before he's even actually been found guilty of anything? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I think it's interesting as the fight is developing and we're getting closer to the dates. David Benavidez's team seems to be very focused on David Morrell's testing situation. Granted, I haven't really heard David Benavidez speak on it that much. In an interview here and there a couple of weeks ago, I did hear him speak on it, but the team seems to be very focused and very aware of David Morrell's power, and they seem to be wanting to credit to him cheating. And they want to push a narrative out there for whatever reason. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. It's your boy Claymore Rain. Once again, shout out to my subscribers. If this is your first time tapping into the content, as I've always said in my other videos, I'm going to invite you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit your bell icons as well so you are getting alerts when all this content is dropping. It's your boy Rain. It's that ATP Combat Media Show. Until the next segment, at this point, we out.